Hi everyone, you're on VM24.com channel. Today we're going to take apart the Lenovo Yoga Pad Pro 13. We will start by removing the back cover or the housing. To do this, we use a thin plastic tool inserted into the gap between the edge of the display and the back cover. Push the tool in carefully, deep enough so you don't accidentally touch or damage the display edge. Then release the clips. Work carefully along the edges, the clips come off fairly easily. If something is blocking you, you don't force it. Take a careful look at what is coming loose and what isn't. By the way, some clips are also located in the middle part. Now we can gently open the back cover. As we can see, there is nothing attached to the back cover itself. Next, we move on to unscrewing the screws that hold the main printed circuit board in place. For this we use a 1.5mm Phillips screwdriver or Phillips #3O. We remove the brackets and set them aside. Then, using a non-metal tool, we need to disconnect the battery connector. We disconnect the battery connector and continue working. Next, disconnect the connectors on the main circuit board. We can call it the motherboard. Disconnect the connectors for the speakers and the connector most likely for the display. Disconnect the flex cable for the display port and the speaker connectors. We continue unscrewing the screws. Please note that the screws are different, the bars or brackets are located in different places, so it is best to prepare a dedicated surface and organize the screws carefully, noting their locations and the order. We disconnect the interboard flex cable connectors and disconnect the speaker connectors. Disconnect the two coaxial cable connectors. The coaxial connectors are very hard to disconnect, so be careful. Also make sure that there are no microchips near the area where you are pressing, so you don't accidentally damage them. Continue unscrewing screws, keeping them organized on your special surface in a specific order. There will be a lot of screws. And don't forget to disconnect connectors and release flex cables for buttons. Now we can remove the motherboard. On the back of the motherboard, as we can see, thermal paste has been applied, and a copper heat spreader is located in the display frame. Next, we move on to unscrewing the screws on the secondary circuit board, which likely houses the video processor. Unscrew the screws and set them aside on your organized surface. After that, unscrew the screws at the bottom that hold the interboard flex cables and the microphone flex cable. Remove the bracket, disconnect the interboard flex cable that leads, by the way, to the motherboard. Carefully peel off the flex cable, leave the circuit board, gently flip it and disconnect the interboard flex cable that should go to the charging port. Disconnect it carefully and set the circuit board aside. Now we can move on to disconnecting the lower subboard. By the way, pay attention to the placement of the microphones. They are located along the edges and are well glued. Long flex cables run from them. Be very careful not to damage them. Underneath the flex cables are the speakers. Next, need to free the flex cable so it doesn't get in the way when we disconnect the speakers. Next, unscrew the screws that hold the speaker in place. The speakers in the lower part are glued, so we need a special tool. Carefully leave the bottom part and remove the speaker, setting it aside. Then release the speaker cable from the grooves that hold it in the display frame. Next, unscrew the screws holding the subboard. We can also peel off the protective adhesive that holds the front camera in place. Don't forget about screws, they may also be screws under the adhesive. Now free the flex cables and remove the bracket. Take your time, don't rush, and remove the subboard along with the front camera. The front camera is also glued on the sides with a special tape. Peel it off, it is best to keep it for assembly. As I've said, don't rush and don't use force, because you don't know exactly when everything is. We don't want to damage anything. On the back side there is camera connector, disconnect it and remove the camera. It is a good idea to cover the camera lens with a protective film to prevent dust or debris from getting on it. Now we can peel back the flex cable and fold it aside to disconnect the speaker. We unscrew the screws holding the speaker. Then use a special tool to lift and disconnect the speaker, which is also glued. It is not very strongly glued, but you still need to be careful. Lift it carefully, the flex cable may get in the way. Gently wiggle and remove the lower speaker, then fold it aside. Next, we move to the upper part. We can remove the middle section near the handle. It is held by 3 screws. Please note that these screws are different from the previous ones. They should be stored separately. In this model, we will not disconnect the battery. Actually, the tabs are off, but we did remove the battery, which took a long time. it is fixed along the edges and in the middle of the frame. On video this looks messy, so we decided not to include this part. Okay, we disconnect the flex cable with a port, likely for the display, and a small circuit board. We continue unscrewing screws. Some have large heads, are short, and they are different from the others. Store them separately. At this location is a speaker. Remove it and set it aside. Now disconnect the second speaker. Also unscrew the long screws first, then the short ones. Remove the cover that holds the charging port. The screws should also be stored separately from previous ones. Pay attention to their exact order and position. We have unscrewed the screws. Now peel off the flex cable. We also missed one screw which we need to remove. Sometimes it happens that one or two screws are overlooked. Disconnect the cover and we can see the interboard flex cable is connected to a small circuit board and the charging port. Set everything aside. Finally, we move on to disconnecting the last speaker. Unscrew the screws holding the speaker, set them aside, and carefully remove the last speaker. And that concludes the disassembly. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in our new videos, either on our Telegram channel or on our website.